Hey there traders, thanks for joining me for this video. I wanted to recap the trades that I took last week. It was week 14 at thestockbandit.com, and these are the setups that I took. I took some swing trades and some day trades, and overall, to be honest with you, it just was not a very good week. I did not get to take very many trades, and part of my trading style is not about over trading, but it is about getting a large enough sample size to let some of those winners play out. And last week I just had a reduced sample of trades based on a couple of factors, and let me just walk you through my trades. On Monday I got long this LNG, which had been kind of in pullback mode for a few weeks. I wanted to buy it on a break of this descending trend line here, so I got long at 1540. Let me show you the intraday chart, and that really was right here. Okay, we saw an initial pullback down into this area. I in fact did not give it enough room. As you see that, my little 1% stop was quickly triggered, and this thing ultimately made a decent move. More than 2.5%, I believe this little run was, but I just ultimately didn't give this quite enough room, so I got stopped out for a 16-cent loss. Should have just given it a wider stop there. CHMT, I got long on this one on Monday as well, looking for a breakout through this descending trend line. And you can see here that that trigger took place late in the day. Here's the intraday chart. This thing crossed the 1725 area. It kind of fluttered around for a little bit and then made one last little push late in the day, but it wasn't much. Ultimately closed this thing out for like a 7-cent winner at the close, so it certainly did not make much progress. Also took a trade in this JOE, which had cleared a descending trend line here several weeks ago with some really nice upside momentum. Then we saw the quiet little pullback here for a couple of weeks, and the stock had kind of stabilized here and looked like it was ready for possibly another turn up. So I got long through this trend line right here on Monday, and that was at the 1920 level, and that was really just an opening bar head fake essentially. I got triggered in right at the open, and this thing turned right back around and shook me out. So I took a 20-cent loss in this one, or 1%. And a lot of traders ask me, do you have a rule for waiting a certain number of minutes until the market has kind of cleared out those early orders? And my personal preference is no. I am willing to take the trades as soon as they go. Sometimes I get head faked out of a trade, just like this Joe. In fact, let me just show you this opening bar. You can see that this bar right over here on the left side of the screen, that was the opening bar right there. So it was a very wide-ranging bar, and then this thing never even showed strength after that. So that's just kind of part of my style, though. I'm willing to take it knowing that sometimes I'm going to get head faked into and out of a trade like that and kind of get whipsawed, but other trades are going to fire early in the session and never look back. And generally, if I'm managing my risk well, even on these head fakes, those other ones that take off and run are going to make up the difference for me. So I'm willing to do it, and even though your style may differ from mine, that's just kind of an explanation of why I would take a trade on the opening bar like that. Let me move on. On Tuesday I took a trade in this MCO. Wanted to get long on this trend line break. The stock had shown some nice recent strength. It had kind of based here for about 3 weeks or so, and I wanted to get long on a continuation move through this trend line. That was at $42.50, and you can see that trigger took place kind of early to mid-morning. On Tuesday this thing pushed through 42.5. It ran up to this 43.05 area, so it was not a huge winner, but I withstood zero pain in this trade. So it's just kind of a nice easy little trade, and 55 cents worth of upside. That's not bad. It was not a home run trade by any stretch, but it was an okay trade for no attempt to move against me. On Wednesday I closed out a swing trade in this NIHD. This thing recently has kind of been all over the map. We saw a big change of character here several weeks back with very hard, relentless selling to the downside. It kind of stabilized. It made one more move to the downside, and then it lifted and rested and lifted again. So we kind of had this big hard sell-off, and then you had kind of this rounded low with some potential here to run back up. And so I was watching this little consolidation here, and I had gotten long from the previous week on this trend line break right here, and this initial day, it fired, it started to go, it challenged this prior high. You can see that right there. But ultimately, it didn't show a lot of conviction. You also see that volume on that trigger day was pretty quiet. That's this one little green bar down here. And then I sat through several days of just kind of overall indecision. This thing had pulled back and filled that little gap right there. And ultimately, on Wednesday last week, this thing had some early weakness. It did stop me out. It pulled back and broke through this support zone right here. So once it had confirmed this channel to the upside, I did not want to see it break beneath this channel again, which it did on Wednesday. So that move right there stopped me out on Wednesday. I took a 3.8% loss, and that's just part of it. I mean, this thing is actually looking like it might set up again, so I'm keeping it on the radar just in case. But this initial play did not, it was not met with some follow through to the upside, so I had to bail out and take my hit in that trade. INXN, here's a stock that I was watching for several days. It finally triggered on Thursday. Wanted to get long through this 1840 area, and I actually did. Let me just show you the intraday chart on Thursday. This was that support or that resistance area that I wanted to see crossed, and kind of mid-morning here, this thing had a huge upside spike, which triggered me into the trade right there. And ultimately, it was just kind of a matter of timing and giving this thing less room than I should have. I should have given it more room because after a run like this, you've got to expect some kind of a knee-jerk move back, and I got it, and I got shaken out for my 1% stop loss pretty much right off the bat. I do still think that this is a bullish setup on the daily chart. However, I did take a 19-cent loss on Thursday for a day trade. I also took a trade in this LVLT, which was attempting to break through this trend line here on Wednesday. It closed kind of right there near it, and I wanted to get long on some continuation. So I actually set a buy stop for a day trade for Thursday at 26.85. And let me just kind of show you the intraday chart. You can see that I got triggered in right about here. And it was kind of a volatile little mover. I mean, it was just a little bit all over the map. Even before I got in, we had seen a shakeout to the downside, a quick reversal up, another shakeout, another quick reversal up. And so as this thing turned back around on this next little sell-off right here, I stopped out at break even. I just wasn't very trusting of this stock based on all this erratic price action that it was showing. So I took a break-even trade in this LVLT. I also took a trade on Thursday in this BTU on the short side. It had broken out of this channel to the downside several weeks ago, carved out some more support, broke down again, and then I was looking for a break of this support zone, and I got short at 28.10, which, let me show you the intraday chart. That happened late in the day. You can see right here, it was in the afternoon, only about an hour and a half before the close, and I got short here at 28.10. I did stop out in this final hour bounce up here as I took a 29-cent loss, and so did stop out there for BTU. And I also closed out a swing trade in this Garmin GRMN, which I had bought several weeks ago on this little trend line break to the upside. Now this thing, and that was around the 47.25 area, and this thing had gapped up on earnings, I believe that was, and then pulled back and held most of this gap and started to turn higher. I wanted to get long for a turn back up toward these recent highs. So I got the initial move, but then this thing just kind of fell asleep on me at the wheel, and it just started channeling here, and it entered into this very painful, quiet trading range where it was doing nothing. And so I did close out this trade on Thursday as it did break support. I did get paid a 40-cent dividend, which was available to holders on record back in mid-March, and then they paid it at the end of March, and so I collected that 40-cent dividend, which kind of offset the majority of my losses in this trade. I did take a 1.2% loss in this trade, so it wasn't bad for a trade that never played out. It ultimately just was one of those ones that just stagnated, and the pattern never really confirmed, and sometimes that happens. So there's a look at the holiday shortened week for me. I didn't get to take nearly as many trades as I typically prefer, partly due to there being only 4 days, partly due to the gaps in the stocks that I had intended to trade in some cases. But overall, I lost some money. I did not get killed by any means though. And so on weeks like that, it's all about risk management. It's all about minimizing the damage of failed trades when they happen, and they will happen. So that's just a big part of my trading style. Now, next week is a new week, and the year has so far been very good to me. So I'm going to take it in stride and just keep moving forward. It's just kind of one of those weeks where I gave a little bit back. Thank you for joining me for this video. If you're not already a subscriber at thestockbandit.com, stop by and check out the free trial. We'd love to have the chance to trade with you, to show you how we manage risk, to show you the opportunities that are available on a nightly basis. Other than that, enjoy your Easter weekend. I will see you back here soon with more videos, but until then, trade like a bandit.